How are y'all today?
Coach Brom has talked about TJ, and I don't know if you – I mean, I know you know his dad now, but I don't know if you ever saw clips of him or not, but he says he plays a lot like his dad, which he does. Can you just talk –
Quinn?
Yeah, TJ
Okay.
Quinn. Just talk about his development, I guess, and throughout spring and fall camp and where he's at and how he's really looks like he's become a leader also.
Well, I've never seen clips of his dad, but I have heard Coach Brom talk about the fact that they're very similar, and he mentioned that in some staff meetings actually earlier when we were going through this. But TJ's done a really good job. I mean, he's a third-year guy that has played, in some games, done a good job on special teams over the last 2 years, and then, of course, last year kept getting more and more reps as the season went on. And then, of course, everything intensifies when you go from 5-10 reps here or there, if you're lucky, to, you're the starting linebacker. And it was, I think, a very good progress going from spring ball to all the summer workouts. And then he kind of reproved himself during fall camp. I don't know that he, it was a very much an open competition, but I think he did a good job. He's got some good size, and he runs well, and then he's committed himself to studying and learning, and you're correct. The last thing he's done is he's trying to assert himself, and he is, not just trying, but as a leader and trying to make sure that guys, when you're counting on somebody as a starting backer, you should have some leadership characteristics. Those linebackers should be your quarterback of the defense, as you say. But TJ's doing a great job. Really enjoyed being around him.
Yeah, Coach Brown mentioned that when you win, you have to keep the players from getting too satisfied. When you lose, you have to keep them from getting too down. You seem to really enjoy motivating guys. Do you have to do it differently depending on the situation, and which is more challenging, motivating guys when they've been winning or after a loss?
Well, you're right. I think it kind of depends on the group of players, the group of people. What they're all different, and you're 100% right. If you start winning at a high level or just consistently at all, there is that, you always have that fear as a coach of some type of complacency setting in. You do not want that. That's that's the ultimate sin of, hey, we've arrived, we've done everything we need to do, which by no means have we done that. We're not even close to that, but it can feel good when people are saying, hey, nice job, and all that kind of stuff. But you absolutely have to battle against that. You have to fight that and understand that the only reason you got anything to this point is because you were very hungry and you were very excited to go out and prove yourself, rep in and rep out, not just day in and day out, but every rep out there. So if you can keep that mentality, then it makes it a whole lot easier to keep playing hard. And I've heard Coach Brom say it, I've heard Coach English say it, you got to put the situation aside and just play the next play. So like you said, if something bad had happened, let's say these weren't 3 victories, let's say they'd been 3 losses, you'd like to think that these young men are going to still come in here with the same mentality, the same attitude, the same, will try, can do mentality to succeed. So no doubt it goes both ways. It wanes both ways. Sometimes when everything's going good, everybody's happy. But you could get complacent. And then sometimes if things are going poorly, people expose their true selves, So, but I think these young men are at a really good place. They've got to continue to assert themselves all week long and prove that again this Saturday at 3:30. So, but it is definitely a different mentality either way you go.
Kind of a two-parter. TJ and Stanquan were those 2 guys that really stuffed IU on that 4th down. First, could you just walk us through what you saw from your guys on that play? And second, to see Stanquan developing the way he's been as a freshman, what do you like out of him so far?
Well, it is really good. And you're talking about a guy, we just talked about TJ, but you're talking about a guy that was heavily recruited and has a lot of talent, and he is going to be an exceptional linebacker. And kind of going back to the piece just now, people being either satisfied or upset, he's doing a really good job of wanting to continue to learn. And, his role has increased the last couple of weeks. I mean, we're only 3 games into this, but it does fly by. You have to keep that in mind. And he's done a great job on special teams, too. We look at those reps, and when we're sitting in that room across the hall, we like to think, hey, if there's a special team rep going on, you'd like to think that we're going to have a large number of guys out of that room on the kickoff return, on punt return, whatever it is. And he has done a good job in that respect. But on that play you're talking about, which was, obviously you might say that was the game. I mean, nothing is the game. There's 100 or some other plays. But, I mean, the guys up front, Coach Hagan has those guys playing at a high level. They are physically, doing some really good things. They've got to continue to do so. But the knockback that we got on that play made it really easy. And if you look at it, you've got a puller coming across. All three backers, because of the knockback, were not getting blocked. I mean, they're able to scrape and do their jobs. Now, you still got to do your job. TJ was able to get the first piece of that. He was the outside piece. He was able to make the initial contact. But a lot of times, the initial contact, if a back is determined, you'd like to think it's always going to be enough, but you got to get hats to the ball. So it was really good to see Stanquan get in his gap. He scraped well. I mean, the young man's got a lot of length and a lot of strength. And then he made TJ was at the hip, low. Stanquan hit him high and did keep his legs driving. So that was excellent to see. And you'd like to see Stanquan's role continue to increase, and it will, as long as he continues to maintain the same mentality he's got right now.
We're kind of going back to talk about the motivation. I was asking Jeff about the sack stick up there. Every school, well, some schools have different kind of things, whether turnover chain, whatever. How important is that to have that kind of, I guess, tangible motivation, or that kind of tangible incentive to just kind of maybe get the guys going a little bit?
Well, I think the biggest thing, and I like the sack stick. It's a cool deal. I mean, it's something that each position group gets to hang on to for that week, and we don't do a lot of those different things. But the biggest thing they got to realize is it's a piece to acknowledge you have accomplished something in getting a sack. But the biggest thing, though, and those sacks help us win games. And at the end of the day, that's all you want to do is win those ball games. You want to win ball games, whatever it takes. How do you win them? Who cares, as long as you get it done. But if you go back, and we've done some good math, and over the course of the last, I think, 6 years doing the math, it's almost down to the wire. Every time you get a sack on a drive, you got about a 93% chance over the course of a full year of a touchdown coming out of that drive. It's about, over the last 5 years, it's been about 83 to 5%. It's been a little different on that they don't get points at all. So that means even if they got the ball in field goal range, if you get a sack, typically 83 to 85% of the time, there's no points at all. So that sack changes things. So we do try to talk about that just to motivate them to know, hey, those sacks, they're important because they help us win ball games. So sure, that is one little gimmick to try to say, hey, let's get more of these things and reward you for it and talk about it and praise you for it. But really it's just a way to understand, hey, we got to win ball games, and those sacks will help us win ball games, because when their offensive coordinators calling the next play from 2nd and 15 or 3rd and 12, there's a big difference than when they're on course with their down and distance.
For you coaching linebackers this year after the defensive line before, was there anything you had to change, or is coaching football?
Well, I don't know if there's anything I had to change in particular. Obviously, my attention to detail, my eyes are on a different set of guys in a different area of the field, So I had to train myself, and it's funny because I'm just kind of a one-track guy. I mean, I got to lock into one thing. My wife tells me all the time I'm not a very good multitasker, so I have to make sure, and I did it last year. There was lots of times where I'd come out of practice, and until we watched film, I didn't know what was going on in the back end. Well, now, a lot of times, some of those guys will say, Coach, you see my sack today at practice? I'm like, no, I didn't see it, but I was locked in on watching the field hook or the boundary hook or whatever it happened to be. So I don't think mentality-wise anything changed. It's just, you're talking about coverages now rather than pressure. And, so it's a different place where you're placing emphasis mentally, during practice, and as the ball gets snapped every time. So I try to treat them the same way I did, as far as football, like you said, is football, and wanting them to do the same things. I want to try to get them the same information in a different area of the field, I guess. No, I've been trying to get rid of that for a while. It's kind of painful, but those bigger guys kind of liked it, so they hung on to it for a little while there. But all right, great. Thank you.